Good morning. Welcome to Data Talks Live, where we get rid of the spin and get to the data-driven truth of what's going on as it relates to data in the world. I'm Dr. Tom, and today we're going to get right into it. So the first article that I want to talk about is one that I read this morning. Satellites are leaking the world's secrets, calls, texts, military and corporate data. With just $800 in basic equipment, researchers found a stunning variety of data, including thousands of T-Mobile users' calls and texts, and even U.S. military communications sent by satellites unencrypted. So this is from Wired by Andy Greenberg and Matt Burgess. Satellites beam down data to Earth all around us all the time, so you might expect that all those space-based radio communications would be encrypted to prevent any snoop with the satellite dish from accessing the torrent of secret information. Roughly half of geostationary satellite signals, many carrying sensitive consumer, corporate, and government communications, have been left entirely vulnerable. Eavesdropping, a team of researchers at UC San Diego and the University of Maryland revealed today in a study that will likely resonate across cybersecurity industry, telecom firms, and inside the military and intelligence agencies worldwide. For 3 years, UCSD and UMD researchers developed and used an off-the-shelf $800 satellite receiver system on the roof of a university building to pick up communications of geosynchronous satellites in the small band of space visible from their Southern California vantage point by simply pointing their dish at different satellites, spending months interpreting obscured but unprotected signals they received from them. The researchers assembled an alarming collection of private data. They obtained samples of the contents of Americans' calls and text messages on T-Mobile's cellular network, data from airline passengers' in-flight Wi-Fi browsing, communications to and from critical infrastructure such as electric utilities, offshore oil and gas platforms, and even U.S. and Mexican military law enforcement communication that revealed the locations of personnel, equipment, and facilities. So this is shocking. You would think that this data would be sent encrypted. I mean, this is kind of a basic security thing at this point that folks should be doing, especially when sending communication, right? They figured this out a long time ago. This has been something that folks in war, knew they needed to do in order to, dispatch troop movements and understand the positions and locations of equipment, and, has been a practice that's been known to be necessary for many decades. So that this was this easy and with $800 of equipment is surprising and shocking, and I think the industry needs to mitigate this as soon as possible. Here's another one. Google to invest $18 billion to build AI data hub in India. This is by Abhishek Day, and it's from the BBC. Google's parent company Alibaba will invest $15 billion to build an AI data center hub in southern India. The facility, which will be set up in the port city of Visakhapatnam, will be part of Google's global network of AI data centers spread across 12 countries. So this goes along with the trend. Lots and lots of capital being invested in data centers globally and in the United States. So, that tracks. The project is part of the government's plan to develop 6 gigawatts of data center capacity by 2029, according to Bloomberg News. India's data center industry has grown rapidly over the past 5 years, crossing the 1 gigawatt capacity mark in 2024, and nearly tripling its 2019 level, according to the global professional services firm JLL India Data Center Market Dynamics 2024 report. So I got to tell you, I use a lot of Google cloud-based tools to do AI development and research. I use Google Colab. I use Google Cloud Platform. I find them to be intuitive and pretty simple. I've used competitors' tools. I've used Azure. I've used Amazon Web Services. They're good tools, to be sure, and depending on what your enterprise architecture is and what your company provides you, they may be the right suite for you. But as kind of someone who does independent research and pays out of pocket for a lot of the work that I do, I just enjoy using Google's sort of suite of tools. I know a lot of companies are plugged into Microsoft's architecture, and so I'm familiar with that. A lot of folks use Azure just because the Microsoft suite is what their employer provides, and it's a great set of tools. For me, I find Google Cloud Platform more intuitive. So, I think that's been reflected in the in the stock price, which has been surging. I think about 3, 4 months ago, it was pretty undervalued compared to their earnings, but I bought in to it at that time, purchased some of their stock, and it's performed very well over the last few months. So good set of tools there. I think now, by the way, if you look at the Microsoft stock compared to its earnings and compared to, well, the entire market seems overvalued, but the Microsoft stock in comparison to the market seems like good value right now. So here's one on inflation data used to set 2026 Social Security cost of living adjustment coming on October 24th. The BLS will release key inflation data despite the government shutdown. That's surprising. The recent estimate projected the 2026 Social Security cost of living adjustment will be 2.7%. That could change if the September inflation data brings a big surprise. I was wondering how the government shutdown would affect this. The BLS will release key inflation report later this month, despite the ongoing government shutdown that has left economists flying blind at a crucial moment for the economy. September's consumer price index data will now be published on October 24th, 9 days after its original planned release, according to BLS. The inflation report is vital for policymakers trying to chart the best path forward for interest rates, and is especially important this month because the data will determine the Social Security cost of living adjustment. That's because the annual Social Security benefit bump is tied to the average inflation data for July, August, and September. A recent estimate from the Senior Citizens League put COLA at 2.7 for 2026, slightly above this year's 2.5% increase, but a surprise in September's data could shift that number up or down. So that also affects generally veterans benefits. Veterans benefits usually mimic Social Security COLA adjustments. So it's likely that veterans who receive benefits can expect a similar 2.7% increase over that period. And I'm glad to see that the government shutdown is not causing a significant delay in the release of that, though I'm surprised that the workers who are normally providing that data are not furloughed. It seems as I thought they would have been. Okay, I think that's all I have for today. This has been Data Talks Live. I'm Dr. Tom. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.